There are places in this world where one sentence is a life sentence. This is not a place for ladies. Sarah Mitchell arrived at Delta Force with nothing but an old name, a scarred past, and a wound that never fully healed. No welcome. No allies. Just eyes that saw her as a PR stunt, something soft in a place built for steel. But Sarah didn't come to ask for a seat. She came to take the same test walk, the same fire, and earn her place the only way it mattered, step by bruising step. She wasn't there for a quota. She wasn't there for applause. She was there to fight. And if they tried to break her well, they should have brought stronger tools. Morning fog clung low over Fort Bragg as 87 candidates stood in silence. 86 of them were men, broad-shouldered, tight-jawed eyes sharp with suspicion. Sarah Mitchell stood at the end of the line helmet on hip, her rucksack worn from years no one cared to ask about. They looked at her like a paperwork glitch, a joke someone forgot to cancel. The silence around her wasn't quiet, it was rejection wrapped in uniforms. During the obstacle course, a male recruit accidentally shifted his foot on the rope wall. Sarah slipped, hit the ground hard. Her gear spilled. Mocking claps rose from the sidelines. One instructor didn't even look up. Later, taped to her locker was a pink tiara. Sharpie letters scrawled across the tape, Delta Dream Girl. No cadre stopped it. No one apologized. But she picked it up, folded it, and pocketed the shame. Because quitting was exactly what they were waiting for. By week 2, the hostility grew quieter but more precise. Sarah signed up for a 9 p.m. slot on the shooting range. When she arrived, a male candidate's private session was already underway. Paperwork, glitch. The range. Master shrugged. She tried the virtual kill house. Maintenance at the tech behind a half-closed door. Inside, she heard rifles clicking. Then came the mistakes. A jammed comms radio with the wrong frequency dialed. A training file marked Tier A, access only. A loaded mag mysteriously missing one round. Every malfunction became a reason to disqualify her. Every silence became proof that no one planned to help. In her bunk under a dim bulb, she began writing names. Who blocked what? Who laughed? Who stood by and watched? She didn't just track insults, she logged the war. And they didn't know she was at her most dangerous when left alone. A new bulletin appeared. Obstacle course 30 seconds faster. Pull-up requirement nearly doubled. No announcement. Just small print standards may vary. Only Sarah's name was on the adjusted list. She approached the start line. Lieutenant Dempsey called out without looking up candidate Mitchell. "You're on Alpha Plus protocol." She launched over the wall, slipped on the new steel bar they'd added overnight. Caught herself. Dragged the extra-weighted sled like it owed her a debt. Pulled herself up the rope, hands raw uniform soaked in cold sweat and grit. The clock flashed 4:38, cut off 4:40. She didn't collapse, didn't smile. She walked off in silence, straight-backed. Later at the pull-up bar, she reached Repi 18. Then 19, arms, shaking jaw, clenched. A single whisper floated from a nearby recruit. "She's not supposed to survive this." But Sarah didn't come to survive. She came to break whatever needed breaking. They called her to Line 7. The static fire drill, moving targets, iron sights only. Standard average 85% accuracy. Sarah locked in. First round, center mass. Second, through the sternum cutout. Third, headshot at 50 meters. By round 9, the range was quiet. Not respectful quiet. Startled quiet. Final result, 100% accuracy. Time, 63 seconds. Lieutenant Dempsey looked up from his clipboard. For the first time, he blinked. Then muttered almost to himself, candidate Mitchell, "Exactly perfect." No applause. But no more laughter either. In the mess hall that night, her usual seat wasn't empty. 2 recruits shifted awkwardly when she walked in but didn't move away. She sat, ate, said nothing, and for the first time they didn't either. Respect doesn't arrive with cheers. Sometimes it walks in behind silence. Late that night, Sarah sat alone in the dim corner of the rec room. The tablet screen glowed pale in her lap. A headline stared back like a threat, Delta Force trading combat edge for political correctness. No name was mentioned. Just a female logistics specialist wounded in action now vying for a Tier 1 slot. Below it, a grainy photo. A figure mid-stride across a training field. Even in silhouette, the ponytail gave her away. The article didn't ask questions. It issued warnings. Can America's elite forces afford token gestures instead of tested warriors? Sarah didn't flinch. She just powered the screen off, slid the tablet aside. You don't have to name me, she thought. You already fear me enough to whisper. The real battle hadn't started on the range. It had just begun online, and they didn't know the more they questioned her right to be here, the clearer her aim became. Sarah sat on the cold, concrete floor of the converted supply closet. A dented chair, a humming fluorescent bulb. No medals here, no comfort either. From her breast pocket she pulled out a folded photo. Edges creased. Two women in desert fatigues, sunburned, smiling like war hadn't touched them yet. Sarah on the left, Jessica Monroe on the right. Helmet tilted back like she owned the sky. 6 years ago, Afghanistan. A ridgeline, a mission gone wrong. Radio misfire. Bullets erupted from both sides of the canyon. Jessica was the scout. Quickest up the slope, first to fall. Sarah had dragged her behind cover, hand pressed to the wound. Jessica's voice was steady. It's not your fault, but fix it, so no one else dies over a signal no one knew. Then silence. Now Sarah's thumb traced that crease in the photo. I'm not here to prove them wrong, she whispered. I'm here to keep that promise. The envelope was waiting when she returned from a night run. Plain white. No name, just her call sign. Inside a summons. Private consultation. Credential review. Training alignment. Room 3. 0900. The wording was clean. Too clean. Conference room 3 wasn't a training office. It was a boardroom. Inside sat 2 men, Colonel Vaughn with a thin folder. And General Harrison's smile practiced like a handshake at a funeral. We admire your record, Harrison said. Silver Star recommendation. Instructor ratings. Commendable service. Then came the velvet dagger. Delta is a public symbol. Perhaps your skills are better used in doctrine development. Head of Female Tactical Integration. A glass office. Posters about diversity. A career without bruises. Sarah didn't flinch. Gentlemen, she said, calm, as a trigger squeeze, I didn't come here for an easier war. I came to take the same test as everyone else. They didn't argue, because they didn't need to convince her to quit. They were about to build a maze designed to make her disappear inside it. By Monday, the changes had arrived. Notice boards were updated quietly. Obstacle course now with a surprise overhead monkey rail. New deadlift sled 30 pounds heavier. Pull-up minimum raised to 19 only for subset candidates. Subset Sarah Mitchell. No announcements, no explanations. Just laminated footnotes and new timers. Her name was flagged Alpha Plus Protocol. Results not to be published. She felt the shift. Extra chalk on her pull-up bar. Ammo pouches short by 1 magazine. Her stopwatch started early, ended late. Others ran the course. She ran a test built to exhaust her spirit. Instructors wrote only when she moved. Their clipboards closed for the rest. She filed no complaints. Complaints need someone willing to read them. Instead, she trained at night alone. Rope climbs with water-soaked gloves. Rifle reloads blindfolded. Gas mask drills until her lungs burned. In her notebook, she wrote, If they raise a wall, I will climb it in front of them. At dawn, the obstacle course gleamed with ice-slick rails and fresh gravel. They'd added a second deadlift sled. A higher wall. No warning. Sarah stepped to the start line. Dempsey stood at the timing desk. Enhancements, he said dryly. Then, let's see who's left standing. The whistle blew. Sarah surged forward. Wall 1 vaulted. Rail grip slipped once caught again. Blood smeared her palms. The sled. She locked her breath and dragged it inch by inch over churned ground. Time flashed. 4:38, cutoff, 4:40. She made it. But the course wasn't over. Pull-up bar next. She reached 18 arms shaking. On the 19th, she let out a growl, not pain, defiance, and cleared the bar. Marksmanship drill followed. Field strip. Suppressor on. Gloves still damp. Time 63 seconds. Perfect function. No cheers. Just a clipboard tapping once. That night, Sergeant Davis left a new bottle of CLP oil on her bench. No words. Just a nod. The wall had moved, and people had started noticing who pushed it. By midnight, the storm had left the base and moved online. Someone had leaked a grainy photo, a woman mid-run on the range. Captioned crudely, Delta Barbie. Now with mascara and suppressed standards. Mimi after Mimi, spread like oil fire. A tiara photoshopped onto her helmet. A doll with camo fatigues holding a compact mirror instead of a sidearm. Comment threads lit up. She's just a PR checkmark. When did Tier 1 become a Girl Scout camp? Let her fail. Quietly. They didn't say her name, but everyone on base knew exactly who the jokes were about. Inside the barracks, she heard the new phrase whispered, "Princess move," tacked onto drills. Mutters when someone stumbled. At dawn, Sarah found a pink plastic tiara taped to her locker. Below it, a Sharpie note, "Best of luck, candidate." She peeled it off, folded it carefully, and placed it in her pocket. Not shame. Evidence. They weren't laughing because she was weak. They laughed because they were starting to worry she wasn't. She never ripped the tiara. Never shouted. Never asked for fairness. Instead, she trained. At dawn, while the others hit snooze, Sarah ran the course alone. Mud clung to her boots. Blood lined her knuckles. She finished first. No fanfare, just silence. The kind that asks, "Did you see that?" At marksmanship, drills her shots hit like a metronome. 9 moving targets. 9 hits. Clean, mechanical. One private leaned to another and whispered Queen's Grace, but no one laughed. They'd started watching, not mocking, measuring. In the mess hall, her usual isolation softened. Seats near her filled not out of friendliness, but curiosity. Private Thompson, who once muttered logistics girl, gave her a nod. She returned it. Brief, firm. Respect doesn't arrive with applause. It slips in when disbelief has nowhere left to hide. It came quietly. After drills, while Sarah stretched alone by the barracks wall, a young private lingered boots scuffing the gravel. His voice was low. "Careful, ma'am. Did you ever deploy, actually outside? Logistics?" Sarah didn't flinch. She wiped sweat from her brow and answered evenly, "Afghanistan. Green Beret, 2009 to 2015. The kid's face flushed. "Right. Sorry, ma'am." He backed away embarrassed, but he had asked. No mockery, no sarcasm. Just a real question, a real shift. That night, Sarah didn't write down names in her notebook, not this time. She recorded something else first inquiry, unprompted, tone respectful. In a system built on silence and assumption, even one honest question felt louder than an insult. And in that space between curiosity and courage, change had started to breathe. They didn't push her. They tried to erase her quietly. Her range time overwritten. Scheduling error. Virtual kill house under maintenance. But rounds echoed behind the locked door. Her radio, dead on arrival. Inside the frequency dial had been twisted mid-channel, each event too small to prove. Together, a pattern. Sarah never filed complaints. She reached for a pen instead. Her notebook filled line by line, names, times, tactics, denied access, 2100 range, frequency altered. Sergeant Holt laughed loudest. Private D frowned, said nothing. She tracked them like variables, like battlefield threats. A second column emerged, countermoves. silent reload drills, alternate comm signals, backup equipment caches. At night, she trained. By day, she documented. "They think I'm alone," she wrote. "They've never knelt by a dying friend and come home upright. I've already survived worse. This is just paperwork with shadows." By Friday, 4 men had dropped from the program overnight. Gear bags left like broken shields at the foot of their bunks. At roll call, the warrant officer paused over one name, Mitchell. Still breathing, Sarah's voice cut across the parade ground. "Present, sir. That day's endurance march was brutal. 50 pounds of weight, 8 miles, her bruised shoulders still purple from the rope wall fall. As she tightened her straps, a recruit spat near her boot. 'How the hell are you still here?' She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Whistle blew. She stepped forward, steady, silent. No one laughed this time, not even behind her back, and somewhere in that heavy quiet a small shift happened. A few noticed, a few turned their heads. Not in mockery, in recognition. The system hadn't broken her. It had just exposed itself trying. It came in another white envelope, tucked under her boot rack, stamped 0900. Conference Room 3. Credential Alignment Review. The air inside smelled like polished floors and politics. Colonel Vaughn adjusted his glasses. General Harrison smiled the way diplomats do before a concession. "Captain Mitchell, we've reviewed your file. Your achievements are noteworthy." They slid a memo across the table. "No rejection letter, just a gilded cage. We'd like you to lead doctrine development, mentor new female recruits, shape policy, inspire. No mud, no pull-up bars, no rifles, just soft carpets and speeches about inclusion." Sarah didn't blink. "I didn't come here for an easier war," she said, voice calm as a drawn blade. "I came to take the same test. And pass it." Silence tightened like a noose. Harrison nodded. Too slowly. "We respect your choice, but Delta is no place for experiments." Sarah stood, saluted. They couldn't stop her, so now they would simply raise the bar. By Monday, the board had changed again. New placard, block letters, revised performance standards, effective immediately. In smaller print, a phrase stood alone, to be applied flexibly on a per-candidate basis. Sarah's name appeared in a column labeled Special Cases. Her new reality, obstacle course time, 4 minutes 30 seconds, 30 seconds faster than everyone else. Pull-ups 15 minimum. Previously 5. Weapons drill now includes a casualty simulation with her right wrist bound in burlap. No explanation, no warning. A young sergeant passed by the board and muttered to a buddy, "Special treatment." Huh. Inside, Sarah ran her hand across the cold bulletin metal. No anger, no panic. "They won't kick me out," she thought. "They'll just make me collapse publicly." But they were forgetting something. She knew how to survive collapses, and how to rise up from the rubble. They watched her from the catwalk clipboards in hand, eyes blank, waiting for the moment she would finally break. Sarah stood at the line. Rucksack heavier, boots soaked, right wrist wrapped in coarse burlap fingers stiff. First drill, carry a casualty dummy 180 pounds uphill. She adjusted her grip. One breath. Lift. Step by step, she dragged it through gravel and dust. Her shoulders screamed. Her wrapped wrist burned. But the dummy moved. So did she. Second drill. Blind weapon assembly. Gloves on. Timer running. Click. Slide. Lock. She finished 19 seconds under the limit. No cheers, no acknowledgement. Just a marker on a form and the scribble of a signature. Later, while others sat laughing in the rec hall, Sarah iced her wrist in silence. One private passed her and said nothing but left an unopened protein bar on her bench. It wasn't praise, it was something better. Respect. The kind you never ask for, only earn one impossible step at a time. It started in whispers. Not insults, not jokes, but questions. You think she's going to pass no way unless they're covering for her. But what if she isn't the one getting help? By week 6, Sarah had passed every elevated test. No appeals, no extensions, no dropped reps, no excuses. She ran faster, lifted more, shot cleaner, and she did it without ever asking anyone for anything. The instructors didn't speak much, but their silence changed shape, from smugness to concern. One night behind the gym, two cadres stood smoking. If she clears the final field eval, we'll have to explain why she made it, and why the others didn't. Sarah didn't need to hear it. She saw it in their eyes, not disbelief anymore, but something colder, doubt in the system itself, and fear of what her success would mean. She wasn't bending under pressure, she was forcing the institution to. They called it simply Phase Omega. The final field exercise. 24 hours. Simulated ambush. No sleep. Minimal rations. Live fire zones. Live decision-making. Success rate, 28%. Among women, none had ever taken it. Sarah read the prep sheet with steady eyes. No change in pulse, no questions asked. She received her gear from the quartermaster. Everything checked twice. Ammunition clean. Comms secured. Map sealed. At 0500 they assembled on the edge of a rain-slick forest. The air buzzed with quiet anticipation. Behind her, one recruit muttered, "This is where she breaks. No one gets out of this clean." Sarah knelt to check her boots. Double-laced, dried, precise. Then she stood, back straight, jaw set, no speeches, no defiance, just a single thought behind her calm stare. This is the part where I disappear and come back different. The forest swallowed them whole. Fog low, rain steady, mud sucking at every step. 10 minutes into the course, the first explosion cracked. Simulated mortar. 3 clicks northwest. Sarah dropped to a knee. Fist up. Scan left. Crack automatic fire from the tree line. Blank rounds, but too close. Contact left. Someone yelled. Chaos followed. 2 recruits scattered. 1 froze mid-run. Sarah moved, crawled low, covered her sector. Sighted in marksmanship, blank rifle steady. She didn't fire wildly. She counted, timed. Then, cover moving 2 up, she led her fire team behind a ridge. Not the highest rank, not the loudest voice, but in that moment, every head turned to her. Not because she ordered it, because she acted like someone who'd done this before. Because she had. There's theory, there's training, and then there's contact. Sarah Mitchell had survived contact. 3 kilometers in rain turned to sleet. Mud became weight. Every step dragged. Then Private Lang went down. Twisted ankle. Couldn't walk. Protocol, leave, and log. This wasn't real combat, it was assessment. Points for decision-making, not heroics. The fire team leader hesitated. We're at risk move without him. Sarah looked back. Lang's eyes said everything. Not panic, not begging. Just, don't make me disappear here. Her brain calculated. Weight, distance, time loss, mission, fail, probability high. But something else overrode it. Sarah dropped her ruck. I'll carry him. You move forward and mark position. If we both pass, we all pass. She heaved Lang over her shoulder. Pain surged down her spine. Ankle-deep mud, visibility dropping, but she moved, 1 inch at a time. Some tests are about tactics. Some are about who you are when no one's grading character. They tracked her from the tower. Thermal feeds, GPS overlays, instructor notes, Mitchell deviated from preset route. Engaged assistance protocol with injured candidate. Inside the control room, Lieutenant Dempsey narrowed his eyes. Why the hell is she going southeast? No one answered. The usual path followed the ridge flat open. Safer, predictable. Sarah was headed into a creek valley. Dense, cold, slower by half. She adjusted Lang's position over her shoulder, checked her compass, moved forward deliberate. Behind the glass, a major tapped his pen. She's going to time out. But another screen lit up Thermal Spike's second fire team ahead pinned. Sarah didn't know that, but her decision would put her behind them exactly where they'd need rescue. It wasn't guesswork, it was instinct, experience. On the screen, she disappeared into brush cover. Dempsey muttered under his breath, "She's not following the plan," then paused. "She's writing her own." She found them by sound, a hiss of pain, half muffled through grit teeth. 4 members of Fireteam Echo. 1 down with a leg wound simulated but bleeding real fear. 1 crouched rifle up, eyes wild. Their comms were dead, their team leader unconscious. Sarah dropped to a knee. "Comms check." Nothing. Scrambled. How long since contact? 8 minutes. They stared at her, waiting. Not for permission, for direction. She didn't outrank anyone. She hadn't been invited. But they shifted toward her voice like soldiers starved for leadership. She scanned the perimeter. "We hold here. You cover southeast arc. You bandage and prep evac drag. We move in 5. No noise. Eyes up." No one argued. No one asked who put her in charge. They just moved. Because when fire hits you, follow the one still thinking clearly. Sarah didn't take command. It arrived like gravity. Sarah moved the team with surgical calm. Low signals, silent hand gestures, interval spacing like clockwork. Private Dorsey dragged the simulated casualty. Sarah rotated point every 300 meters, kept noise discipline sharp. No voice above a whisper, no footfall wasted. They reached the tree line just as dusk began bleeding through the canopy. Extraction marker 600 meters south. ETA 14 minutes. But behind them, someone else moved. Not hostile, not simulated. A man in a black windbreaker. No name patch, no insignia. He trailed them at 40 meters. Notebook in hand. Eyes locked on Sarah, not the terrain. In the ops room, a colonel leaned toward the mic. Observer Charlie in position. Log everything. Look for hesitation, doubt, disregard for protocol. But Sarah didn't know. She just kept leading. Not louder, not prouder, just sharper. As if she could feel she was being watched and decided to give them something worth watching. 600 meters from extraction. Rain fell harder. The forest narrowed into a rocky bend. Sarah moved point. Then the shout short and sharp. "Lang's down." She turned. Private Lang, same recruit she'd carried days ago, had slipped on the incline. Ankle twisted. Again. The team froze. Timer said 13 minutes remaining. Mission, protocol, leave no one behind. Unspoken code of the course: finish on time or fail. Echo team looked at her. Then the trees. Then her. Somewhere beyond the tree line, the observer watched pen poised. No one said it, but the trap was set. Sarah dropped her rifle to safe. Kneeling, she reached for Lang's harness straps. "Same rules," she said quietly. "I carry you cover." Dorsey opened his mouth, closed it. They formed up again, moved. Slower, harder, but tighter. Sarah didn't choose failure. She redefined what success looked like. Because sometimes passing the real test means breaking the one they thought would break you. Final stretch. Tree line broke open into wet gravel. The extraction marker, red smoke flare, burned 20 meters ahead. Sarah adjusted Lang's weight. Legs trembling, jaw locked, heart pacing itself like a sniper's breath. 10 meters. 5. Dorsey shouted, "Go! Go!" They crossed the marker at full stride. T-minus 0.06. 6 seconds to spare. Lang collapsed. Sarah didn't. She stood still, back straight, face soaked, unreadable. At the ops center, no one spoke. Observer Charlie closed his notebook. Colonel Vaughn turned from the screen. "She shouldn't have made it," someone muttered. No one responded, because she had, and no one knew what to do with that truth. In the rain, Sarah looked back at the tree line as if daring it to chase her again. She hadn't outrun the system. She'd walked through it, carried weight it never measured, and still came out on time. The summons didn't come through chain of command. No orders, no file, Just a knock on her bunk frame at 0600. Command building, room 5. Alone. Inside, polished floors. Coffee steam. General Harrison behind a bare desk, no insignia today. He didn't stand. Didn't smile. "Take a seat, Mitchell." She did not. "You've drawn attention," he said flatly. "More than we prefer. Outside this base." A pause. "You've passed things we didn't think passable, made decisions not in the curriculum, and you're not even looking for press." He leaned back. "That makes you unpredictable, and that makes you dangerous." Sarah finally spoke. "I'm not here to be safe." Harrison's eyes narrowed. "You're not here to be a symbol either." She held his gaze. "I'm not. I'm here to be a soldier." Silence stretched. Then he nodded once. Not in agreement, in acknowledgement. This wasn't warning. It was recognition from a system that couldn't contain her and now had to choose fight her, or follow her. 4 men sat around the conference table. Coffee black. Files open. Screens muted. On the center monitor, a photo of Sarah. Mid-stride, rain-soaked, carrying a recruit on her back. Colonel Vaughn began, she passed. Every elevated metric. No violations. Another countered, she went off route. Took initiative beyond scope. "We can't let Delta become improvisational." General Harrison said nothing. A third voice, the logistics commander. She didn't just survive the gauntlet. She reshaped it, quietly, on time, and without asking for anything. Silence. Then Harrison finally spoke. "Let her in. And every tradition we've used to filter Tier 1 fractures." A pause. Then Vaughn, quietly, "Or we start calling tradition what it really is, fear in uniform." No vote yet. Just the weight of truth finally acknowledged aloud. Sarah wasn't in the room, but for the first time someone inside it stood up for her without looking over their shoulder. No trumpet, no formation, just a sealed envelope on her bunk, white, unmarked, heavy with everything it didn't say. Sarah sat, tore it open with one motion. Inside, Candidate Mitchell. All mission criteria met. Status, integrated Tier 1, probationary assignment. No congratulations, no welcome speech. Just a pass. Just the door open. She stared at it. Not in shock, but in stillness. Outside the barracks, others gathered, whispers rising. Not all in support, not all against. Just tension now, waiting to choose its side. Sarah folded the letter, slid it into her notebook. No smile, no tear, just this thought. If they won't clap, I'll give them something else, something they can't look away from. Performance that rewrites policy. Quiet that outlasts noise. Presence that makes people ask questions they weren't ready to answer. The door hissed open. Low light, rows of lockers, combat boots, gear belts, and 5 men mid-conversation who stopped speaking the moment they saw her. Delta Team Bravo, Tier 1 operators. No insignia, no chatter, just sharp eyes and scars that didn't need explanation. Sarah stepped in duffel over shoulder. One of them, tall arms folded, let his eyes scan her from boots to collar. "You lost logistics." A pause. No humor, no smile, just a test. She dropped her bag beside the bench, met his stare. Calm, focused. "No, but if I was, I'd ask someone who knows how to read terrain." Someone coughed. Not a laugh. Something stuck between surprise and recognition. Another nodded once, almost to himself, and returned to checking his rifle. That was it. No welcome, no handshake. But she wasn't invisible anymore. Acceptance wasn't given here. It was earned by showing up ready not just to survive the wolves, but to prove she had her own teeth. Live Op Sim. 10 clicks. Target extraction. 1 hour. No tech assist. Briefing ended with that sentence. No plan. No roles assigned. Just gear and silence. Sarah checked her loadout. Standard issue. No sabotage, but no support either. Team Bravo moved fast. No one told her formation. No one waited. She fell in behind, tracked their movements, memorized pace, hand signals, line breaks. At the first ridge, they split 4 forward, 1 rear. No call-out, no signal to her. She crouched in cover, listening. Wind, gravel, distant rustle. Then, movement unknown target left flank. A setup, maybe. A warning. More likely. She didn't hesitate. Adjusted sight, tracked. No shot fired, but her rifle moved in perfect sync with the ghost passing through shadow. From 20 meters away, one operator turned to look. Not a nod, but he saw. They wanted her to fall behind. She didn't. They built silence around her. She read it like a map. 10 clicks in. Extraction point still 2 ridgelines away. Bravo team moved fast, cutting through the underbrush in formation she was never invited into. Then came the bottleneck narrow valley. Limited cover. Standard protocol. One goes high for overwatch. No one moved. Sarah scanned the terrain. Elevation right, natural blind spot, high-value ambush risk. They kept going. Let her walk into it. She didn't. Without a word, she peeled off uphill. Quick, silent. Found a sniper perch, sights up, and there it was, mock enemy unit moving in behind Bravo. Sim rounds loaded. Red caps on the barrels. She clicked her comm, uninvited. Contact rear. 4 tangos. I've got elevation. You move or I fire silence. Then you fire. She did. Precise. 2 down, suppressive. Team Bravo pivoted, flanked, neutralized the rest. Clean. The op ended minutes later. Target secure back at the truck. The tall one looked at her. Just looked. Longer than before. Still didn't say good job. But when they loaded gear, he left space beside him. It wasn't approval. It was respect. Earned the hard way in one move they never saw coming. The debrief was short. No praise, no critique. Just checked boxes and a dismissive "See you, 0500." Sarah stayed back, cleaning her rifle. Alone. Again. Until boots scuffed the gravel near her. Private Dorsey, youngest in Bravo. Sharpshooter. Quick temper. Quieter since yesterday. He lingered a beat too long. Then finally, "How'd you know they were going to flank us?" Sarah didn't look up. They were moving too clean. No noise, no drift. Real ambush teams always make one mistake. They try too hard to look perfect. Dorsey nodded slowly. Not impressed, just processing. And softer. "You learned that from books." She looked up. No. From carrying someone who didn't make it. Silence. He didn't respond. Didn't need to. He walked away without another word, but left a spare cleaning brush beside her kit. The first question isn't about tactics. It's about permission to learn. And once they ask, they're no longer testing you. They're listening. So 300 hours. Alarms blared short sharp. Not training protocol. The red light in the hallway spun slowly. Bravo team was already moving. No briefing screen, no exercise script. This was live. Intel came in pieces over encrypted comms. Outpost Charlie 9. Breach. 2 operators down. Possible extraction required. Minimal support window. Gear thrown on mid-run. Rifles locked. Gloves half-fastened. No one asked who was ready. There wasn't time. Sarah grabbed her vest, snapped it shut. Turned. Captain Riggs, silent until now, nodded once. "Mitchell, you're on point. No second looks. No murmurs." The truck doors slammed shut. Inside, rain hit steel like static. Sarah checked her mags, then her teammates' packs, quiet, practiced. No one stopped her. No one said, "You sure you're ready?" Because now it wasn't about who she was. It was about who was needed, and she had become necessary. Touchdown at Euro 326. Low altitude insert. 0 moon. 0 visibility beyond NVGs. Outpost, Charlie 9 burned behind the ridge, orange glow licking at black sky. Comms crackled, 2 friendlies unresponsive. No confirmation on breach size. Assume resistance. Sarah led the stack down the ravine. Muzzle up. Breath steady. Then movement. not random, too fast, too smart. Thermal sweep showed 4 signatures. No uniforms, no hesitation. Dorsey whispered, "They're not retreating. They're flanking." Sarah snapped into cover. No more drills, she thought. One of the hostiles tossed a flashbang without a sound cue. Smart. Real. The blast lit the ravine like day. Shots fired. Suppressors roared. Dirt exploded around them. Sarah called it fast 2 high left. 1 behind tractor husk. We clear the right hook in pairs. Go. No one paused. They moved. Together. Under fire, under pressure, and for the first time. They didn't question her voice. Because in war, the only rank that matters is the one earned when everything breaks loose. The crack wasn't hollow. It wasn't training. It was sharp, final, real. Private Dorsey dropped hard behind cover leg hit. Blood spilled across the gravel dark and fast. Muffled scream, eyes wide but focused. "I'm hit! I'm hit!" Medkits back in the rig. Shots kept coming tight bursts too controlled for militia. Sarah was 10 meters away. Flat ground. No cover. She moved anyway. Not fast. Efficient. Low sprint. Skids beside him. Body shield up. Stay awake. Pressure here. 1 hand on gauze, 1 on trigger. Cover fire came late. Someone realized what she was doing. The rest of Bravo reoriented. Pushed forward. Took the flank. Dorsey breathed through gritted teeth. "Why'd you come back?" She didn't answer. Didn't need to. He saw it in her hands, blood-stained calm. Because when you're real team, you don't check the clock. You check who's still breathing, and you move. Bravo regrouped under fire. Sarah pressed the bandage tight on Dorsey's leg, then locked eyes with Rig. "We've got 2 more in the grid. Outpost interior. No comms." Rig didn't argue. Lead it. No debate. No pause. Sarah shifted her rifle, rose up with purpose. They moved tight diamond formation. Cleared entry. Glass crunching under boots. Carbon smoke everywhere. Interior hallway half collapsed. Flickering light. Faint sound metal tapping on pipe. Signal, she whispered. Someone's alive. She spotted them. 2 bodies cornered under debris, pinned but breathing. Sergeant Hale looked up dazed. Didn't think they'd send anyone. Sarah dropped beside him. They didn't. "We came anyway," she signaled for lift. 3-man hoist. 1 drag. No wasted motion. As the team exfiltrated, Sarah took rear guard. Eyes on shadows. Every footstep a choice. She wasn't proving anything anymore. She was protecting what she already owned, the team, and the right to lead it. They touched down at 0508. Dust. Diesel. Dead silence. Dorsey was rushed to med. The others staggered into debrief. Sarah stayed back, wiping blood from her gloves, his blood. Then, a voice behind her. "Captain Mitchell, follow me." The hallway was unfamiliar. No flickering lights, no peeling paint. Just smooth concrete. Brushed steel doors. They stopped at 1. Nameplate Mitchell S. Not candidate. Not temporary. Just her name. The aide opened it. Single bed, private locker, clean desk, real quarters. Not borrowed space. Not a cot in the overflow barracks. Inside, a folded paper sat on the pillow. She opened it. Handwritten. Some leaders wear bars. Others bleed quietly, and the room appears. "You didn't ask for this. You earned it." No signature. She folded the note. Sat down. No celebration. No audience. Just breath and gravity. It wasn't a gift. It was ground taken inch by inch and never given back. They never apologized. Never said, "We were wrong." You belonged here all along. That wasn't their language. Instead, the changes came quietly. Her name etched beside the rest on the unit wall. A younger female candidate issued standard kit, no modifications. A policy memo unsigned removing per candidate flexibility. No banners, no speeches. But the silence shifted. Because Sarah Mitchell had walked through fire not to make a point, not to be first, but to do the job, and in doing it, she became the point. Now, when someone says, "This is not a place for ladies," they pause, because somewhere in a worn notebook in a private room on a base that no longer doubts her, there's a list of everything she overcame and every name that watched her do it. She didn't demand respect. She made it policy. CTA. If you've ever been told you don't belong, drop a comment below, I hold the line, and never stop walking forward.